All right, here we go. Peedi Crakk.
What up, bro?
Welcome to Vlad TV. First time.
Thank you, my brother.
Huge fan.
I'm a huge fan of you, man.
Yeah, likewise, man. Because I remember when it came to state property, it was like you and Beanie Siegel were like my favorites.
I appreciate that.
And I always kind of like had a special kind of liking to you because I've always liked like high pitched rap.
No doubt.
I was always, I was a fan of, King Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys.
Me too.
A big fan of, Be Real from Cypress Hill.
Cool Keith, Sonic.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like the high, something about like the high pitched
I said Sonic. I'm sorry. Ultramagnetic.
Ultramagnetic.
Gotta clear that shit up.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We got an angry phone call.
My bad. Straight up. No, and that's just disrespectful on my end. But
good.
shout out to Sonic too, Daddy O and everybody.
Yeah.
But Ultramag, Cool Keith.
Exactly. So you grew up in North Philly.
Right.
All right. So the name Peedi Crakk, I assume you were fucking with crack back in the day?
Nah.
Nah?
Never smoked crack, ever.
Well, sold crack.
Sold crack. We
Right.
all was selling crack.
Well, that's what I meant. I didn't mean you were
right.
smoking crack.
You said did.
Yeah, no, I feel, yeah.
You gotta be specific in this.
Specific,
you know,
right.
Tomorrow we have memes and shit. But but it never came from the actual like crack. I never felt like I wanted to glorify that. And actually, I didn't make that name. That name wasn't supposed to be my name. My name was something else. My name was Pedro Tequila.
Okay.
And I had just mentioned Peedi Crakk in a rhyme because I was saying something like, they call me Peedi Cracko, like Benny Blanco from the Bronx,
Right.
from Carlito's way.
Right.
And I used to spit the rhyme to everybody all the time. They be like, yo, spit that joint. You say Peedi Cracko. And that was like everybody's favorite rap on the block. And it just stuck. They was like, hey, Cracko, hey, Peedi Crakk. And we just dismissed the Pedro Tequila and just stuck with the Cracko and then cut the O off. So
Yeah, man.
but never with the crack. I see women like mothers and stuff, and they be like, yo, why your name gotta be Crack though? I like, miss, it don't mean crack rock like drugs.
Yeah. Well, at one point you tried to change it. You tried to go to Peedi.
Yeah, I did. I didn't really want to, but my lawyer kept suggesting because people were calling for me to do endorsements like Corona and like independent clothing lines, but they just weren't really feeling the whole putting crack with their product.
Yeah.
So he just gave me some advice like, yo, in the future, man, you're gonna keep running into this problem. You need to drop the crack.
Yeah.
But I picked the crack back up.
Yeah, I remember Killer Mike had the same issues at one point.
Yeah.
He tried to change his name to Mike Bigger, but no one really fucked with it.
But
I think once you establish yourself, it's tough.
I think it's always dope though for artists that it doesn't even matter because they so dope that they can still go through their whole process of their career with that name, like Ghostface Killer.
Yeah.
It's still Ghostface Killer.
Yeah. Even though it's Ghostface on the album, it's still Ghostface Killer.
But it's ill to hear somebody conservative say it like on MTV, like that new joint from Ghostface Killer, like a little white dude.
Gucci Mane.
Yeah, right. So we keeping the crack, man. I'll never drop the crack again.
So growing up in Philly, like how involved were you in the street shit?
Honestly, man, I dip and dab as far as with like hustling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, I was real mischievous as a child, and I had a big thing with guns. I was always fascinated with guns. Now it's the opposite. I hate guns now.
You hate guns?
I hate
Why?
guns. Because I hate. See, you got to be smart to handle a gun. You got to have some self-control. You got to have a stable mentality. And I just hate the fact that there's so many guns out here in America with these crazy people that's like on drugs, and a lot of people got mental issues that's not even diagnosed, and they got a gun.
Yeah.
That's why I hate guns. But they still serve a good purpose. They for protection.
Yeah. I mean, I got guns in the house.
Right, no doubt. No, we still got the strap. But when I was a kid, I loved guns. And me and my partner, ND5, we used to always buy any gun we can find on the street. Like, you know what I mean? Like, crackheads would come. Crackheads used to break in people's cribs. They probably still do. But back when I was grinding, they would break in somebody's house and take whatever they can. And they would always find a gun and bring us a gun. And we'd buy a gun for like $20 rock.
Wow.
I brought like a new Glock. I brought a Glock for like $175, but it was brand new, and it was when Glocks first came out. And I was just mischievous, man. But it was a line. I still had a good family, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't go through a lot of stuff. A lot of other kids, like a lot of kids' mothers was on crack and no dad and all of that stuff. I had family there, but I just was like just on my own. I'm an only child, so I just was.
Me too.
Wanted to do what I wanted to do. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You were fucking with guns. I mean, were you getting into shootouts and stuff like that with them, or were you just like collecting them?
Nah, nobody just collects them back then. We had guns because around that time, this was that era, man. This was around that era.
The 80s,
when,
right?
When baggy jeans, hoodies, guns, drugs, that's when that was hip. And that's when everybody had a gun. So you better go get you a gun and keep it on you. See, nowadays, things change. You don't got to keep the gun on you because if you at my age now, you shouldn't really be anywhere that you going to need a gun.
Yeah.
But back
or
then...
you can just get security.
Yeah, true that. But I'm just speaking in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So nowadays it's different, man. But back then, we was just, after hours, 5 in the morning, all type of crazy clubs, crack houses. You need a gat.
Shit happens.
Shit happens, man.
Okay. So, you were fucking around in North Philly. Mm-hmm. At what point did you, start rapping?
I always rap, man. I grew up with my grandma. My grandma's from North Philly. And I was more raised by my mom and my grandma. You know what I'm saying? So hip-hop was just always around me. And I remember my Uncle Ronald, he used to sleep. I used to have to sleep with my grandma because there was so many people living in the same house. So I would have to sleep with my grandma as a kid, like 7, 8. Yeah, in the same bed with my grandma. So his room was next door to my room. And I would always hear this new music that I never heard before, like Public Enemy first album, and Take a Nation a Million, and LL Cool J album, and all this crazy new music. And I used to ask him, I used to listen from there, but then my mom had brought me a little cassette for my 9th birthday or my 8th birthday, and I had the little radio, the little one box that took the one tape, and Uncle Ron, let me hold that tape, man. Let me hold that Public Enemy tape. Mm-hmm. He's like, all right, I'm gonna let you hold it, man, but don't mess my shit up.
Right.
Bring it back. So I was doing good. I had a Public Enemy joint. I learned all the words to that. Rebel Without a Pause. Don't Believe the Hype. I need a new tape. LL Cool J joint. Jack the Ripper, all that. And then I ended up popping one of the tapes. And I was scared as hell to tell him. So I had took, I used to do with the tapes. Don't nobody know. See, you gotta be old to know about this shit.
Right.
I took a little piece of tape, clear Scotch tape, and put it on each end of the part that popped and sealed it back and put it back and tried to give it back to him. And he must have listened to it and it got to that part or whatever. And he's like, yo, man, you popped my tape, man. Don't ask me for no more tapes. And he put me on timeout with tapes for a long time. And then I started just buying my own tapes. But that's how I got turned on to hip-hop through Uncle Ryan. Yeah, and I don't think I ever told him that. I never told him that. But my Uncle Ryan that's when I really fell in love with rap.
Yeah. Was
through him, and that's when I just was turned out. And I would always ask my mom when I hear about a show on the radio, Fat Boys, this show you how old I am. Yeah. The Fat Boys, Eric B. Rakim, I was there. I seen this shit at a young age. My mom used to take me to the shows, and I was just crazy about hip hop, man. And I didn't want to do nothing else but write raps. I hated school. I hated anything that didn't have to do with hip hop. I just wanted to be at all the ciphers. I wanted to go to every hip hop show, every talent show, every battle. I was there all throughout my young age to my teenage years.